Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. We're here to bring you amazing guests with incredible insights. And of course, we talk about angels. Again, this week, we have a fantastic expert, resilience expert, coach, author, professional dancer, actress on One Life to Live in the past, in the 90s. And she does a lot of great work for folks. We're going to hear about that in a second. She has an amazing book out, Truth to Triumph. Lily Sanders, coming to us from West Palm Beach. Normally it's Long Island, the New York City area. She's been on a lot of different media. She talks about, intimate partner violence. So she's an expert on the domestic violence or just violence between adults front. And so I'd like to welcome Lily Sanders to the show.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. And I will say, also children who witness abuse are also victims. So I do work on also children who are victims by witnessing domestic violence and intimate partners violence as well. Yes,
and she's definitely, I think it's 3 times she's been listed as a top 15 coach of the year in New York City. And her work, as she said, for young adults to help them navigate life situations better, to avoid getting into the situation in the first place, to maintain a higher sense of calling for living a fulfilled life. And again, she helps people navigate these situations, be they adults or young adults, so that they can just experience more love, more outcomes in life, and so on. I would like to ask Lily, since this is a show about angels, positivity, and love. Lily, do angels exist?
Oh, of course they do. I think we all know that answer, but yes, you've heard it here.
Would you like to share with us one of your experiences, and I have a feeling you've had a bunch, that the audience could appreciate?
Sure. Well, how about no time like the present? So you mentioned when you introduced me that I'm from New York, and I'm calling in from West Palm Beach, which is my new second home. But I was supposed to I was planning on doing this podcast with you live from New York, from Long Island, New York. And as it turned out, on the way to the airport Saturday morning, just got sideswiped, waiting at a red light, and poof, got sideswiped. Found myself in this accident, right? And so, do angels exist? Absolutely. I mean, was there not an angel there? I was fine. To be honest, I wasn't even really frightened, just like I was startled, but I was able to really feel angels definitely by my side, and in a calm, cool, collected, and grounded way. Just do what I needed to do and actually find the win in that, find the celebration in that, as silly as it sounds. I was like, well, at least it was the rental. And it was, I mean, there's a celebration in everything. And I think that angels remind us of that every day.
And did both cars get basically totaled, yet people were still able to walk away?
Both cars were not totaled. They were drivable. Yeah. Just, it was enough to make it become an inconvenience, waiting to report it. Now on the other side will be the whole insurance nonsense. And yes, we missed our flight.
Yeah.
So here I am.
And you've had experiences with angels in the past on a bunch of different fronts, bunch of different levels. Would you want to tell us a time that, again, you chose a particular path versus another path because of an angel speaking to you, or getting influenced, or when you look back, or a perfectly sparkly-eyed stranger, you ran into the stranger, they gave you good advice? Is there one more instance you would love to share with us?
Yes, that's actually a great question. And I actually put it in my book, Truth to Triumph. And there was a time where I really, really was, that place where we've all been. I'm sure everyone that's tuning in right now, or listening, or watching, or viewing, we've all been to that place where, can it get any lower than this? And where you say, it can only go up from here. And I was at one of those moments, but I was at a spot where there was this essence of um, underlying underlying inspiration, if you will, where I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew that, yeah, things can only go up from here. And now I was really learning and really leaning in on even my angels. And so what happened was I was physically doing hard labor, uh, like probably most men would do. Not to say that women don't do it either, but for myself, I was already emotionally distraught and so much was going on. And I was doing hard labor, trying to get these big things going and cut big planks of wood and get it into a dumpster. And this wasn't long after I ran for my life and was going through all the motions of what that looked like in divorce. Anyway, here I was, like trying to get these big planks in and trying to cut them down. I mean, I didn't have the right tools or anything. And some stranger who I call Angels in the Hood. In fact, that's a piece in my book, Truth to Triumph. It's a subtitle, Angels in the Hood. Pulls over, never saw her. I'd been living in that neighborhood for years and years, raising my son in that neighborhood. She said, hi. She said, hey. She said, you know, she says, my husband's got a Sawzall that he'll be happy to loan to you if you want me to go get it. I was like, who is this person? That was one angel. And, you know, for a moment, I almost thought, oh no, that's so silly. I don't even know this person. She didn't even ask her husband. And then there was that aha moment that said, okay, Lily, this is an angel. Open your eyes to the reality of a higher sense of this universe really reaching out and grabbing my hand and bringing me, you know, forward to a place where, you know, it could make my moment in my life at that point for that project easier. And I did.
I love it. Let's do this. Let's cover your background a little bit. You've been described by folks who are either doing book testimonials or just reviews, because again, you're a coach for folks. You help people get not just unstuck, but you help them to turn around and face current situations if it's a rocky situation, to navigate it, to go beyond it, to start living, again, what I'm just going to call a fulfilled life. But a person described you as a locksmith of the heart. Again, you bring positive transformation forth, and that seems to be really the linchpin of everything you do for everyone. Again, if it's young adults and they're just unsure on the path ahead, they've encountered sort of rough waters, could be relationships, school bullying, other situations, relationships. You help people get beyond their current situation, which I have to mention, you're also a show host, and the name of the show is Beyond the Current Situation. You were kind enough almost a year ago to have me on, and we chatted for about 2 hours, 45 minutes, if I recall. I think it was February 8th. So folks can go back if they want to keyword search my name with Lily Sanders. That's Lily, 1L, Sanders, and her website is Lily, LILYSANDERS.live, or like live. So lilysanders.live, and you've got her website now. Truth to Triumph is her book on Amazon. I believe it was 2017. Check that out. Again, this is coming from an actress, professional dancer, certified coach, and again, acclaimed in New York City for that. And again, she helps people navigate their situations. And I think positive transformation would be the key skill that you're incredible at, is helping people size up where they're at, steps that they can take, but also ownership of where they're at and how to move forward then after that's completed. Okay, Lily, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So let me spin off from just where you left off. So when it comes to positive, even the word positive and negative, positive transformation, I mean, we have to use vocabulary, right? Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be able to communicate. But I think an important thing that I'd like people to learn before I go into a little backdrop of my story is, you know, positive and negative is it's there in your life no matter what, right? So the yin and yang and positive and negative. And like when you think about you know, even a battery, each side has a negative and a positive. And so in the navigating part of what I do is really understanding that and really taking, let's say if you're weighing out heavier on the negative, let's say, being in acceptance of what that is. And then the transformation is really how to navigate through what's going on in your life situation where you're starting to level it out, where that navigating it brings you to harmonious outcomes, raising the bar on the positivity, you know? So, and the reason why I like to bring this up, especially with an audience like we have here, is so that they're not really down on themselves as far as, you know, negative. However, when you see negative things going on constantly, that's really an aha moment. That's really like a God stop, if you will, that's telling you, okay, you know, where's your balance? What's going on here? Really, like what's really going on here? And really, that's where what I do, that's really my niche where I could really take you to navigate into whatever life situation is going on, and then really leveling that off so that you're actually raising the bar to the harmonious outcome. Now, having said that, that's what brings you to a high standard of living. I like to put it that way. High can mean however you take it, but obviously you all know, you know personally, that I use the word beyond. So what happens is the positive and the negative, when you start raising that bar with the positive, no matter what's going on in that judged negative life situation, you're able to navigate and go beyond that life situation. Because really, you know, and you and I know this, Michael, and I'm sure many of the viewers and listeners might know this, or at least start to be open to the fact that there's so much more than this moment and this life situation. And we really just, once you have the tools to understand that and see through that lens to go beyond that life situation, that's where you really start to live, right? And the fact that people might not believe that doesn't mean that it's not true. I'm sorry I have to say that, but I'm just going to put it out there. And I'm living proof. And what I mean by that is, yeah, I wound up in, look, we're talking about when you talked about what I do with intimate partner violence and look, we all know the stats, so I'm not going to sit here and give you all the stats, but people should know that, you know, 1 in 4 women, and that means 1 in 4 women of the people that are listening right now, 1 in 4 women that you know, possibly even yourself, or 1 in 7 men that you know, or possibly even yourself, have been victims of severe physical violence, like beating, burning, and strangulation by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And I used to be a statistic myself. And we're talking about, not only was I a statistic, but with that severe physical violence, the stats I'm talking about: strangulation, threats of burning my house down with me in it, broken collarbone. And so I literally lived a 15-year nightmare with my young son in 2 back-to-back destructive marriages, living behind a veil of silence as a battered wife. And one of the things that, or I'm going to say, one of the things that I do that is so impactful for you listeners or viewers is that it's not really just the awareness, but it's really understanding that getting educated is the key to avoid it. And when I say avoid it, most people think that they're immune from it. Oh, that's never going to happen to me. Oh, that's never going to happen to my young daughter. That's never going to happen to my young son. Oh, my son would never do that. Oh, my daughter would never fall into that situation. My daughter would never do that, right? most people think that they're immune from it. The truth is, unless you can really identify the disguises behind abuse, you will not have immunity from it. So that's one thing. Because, you know, I was an entrepreneur. I'd already been very successful, highly successful entrepreneur. And I will say right here, I was a bright young woman. You know, you wouldn't think, people that know me wouldn't think that, oh my goodness, like when they read my book, you know, if they read Truth to Triumph, they said, oh my goodness, I never knew. So that's a whole nother thing. So disguises are not just in the perpetrators. There's disguises that you need to know in victims, and also disguises that the medical professionals and also the court systems and law enforcement should really know about how to even find those disguises in young children and tweens and teens and young adults. So there's three areas where disguises need to be unveiled, where they need to be identified so that you, the viewer, you, the listener, can avoid becoming a victim and can help another from hiding in plain sight. I was hiding in plain sight. No one should have to hide in plain sight. Does that help you with my background?
Absolutely. And not allowing others to dictate your own well-being is exceptionally important. Making sure you don't surrender to your own power or control. This is the authentic power control, not anything excessive, just your own existence, your own being. Tell us more about, just give us one of those disguises, one good example, quick one that people can relate to, so they go, oh yeah, no, I get that. What are some of the disguises out there, or just situations that people can be aware of?
Yeah, good question. So, okay, disguises on, let's say, a victim. Constant ringing in the ears, numbness of the fingers, cognitive distortion, even combativeness, believe it or not, obsessive in healthy eating, confusion. Now, let's not, like I said earlier, let's not forget children who witness abuse who are victims as well. And that will make a difference in where they are in life, meaning there's seasonalities that a child goes through growing up, which will dictate the disguises. For instance, a toddler can develop tics. I'm not talking about the tics on the body, you know, the bug. I'm talking about the nervous condition where, like, a child will twitch. There'll be like the twitching of the eye, or a leg, or the constant shaking of the leg, or even body tremors. When they're tweens, they can become highly introverted and also highly extroverted, even the class clown, believe it or not. Also, they're also become very obsessive with, what's the word I'm looking for? Friends, obsessive with friends. And the other thing is, when they become teens, they could become bullies. Inside the home or in school, they can become caught up as a victim being bullied. They tendencies to have self-destructive behaviors, Michael, like cutting, anorexia, overeating, and also combativeness, drugs, alcohol, even sex. And of course, when they get into becoming a young adult, you know, again, obsessive with relationship, you know, falling in love quickly, thinking they're in love quickly, controlling. You know, don't forget, you're looking, even as a parent of young adults, there's disguises of not just them becoming a victim, but of them becoming a perpetrator. So let's really be crystal clear that, you know, if your child has witnessed abuse, it's really highly likely that there's a large possibility that that's little abuse is waiting to happen. And I tell it like it is. I'm not here to paint any pretty pictures. I'm here to tell the truth, and that's what I do. Now let's look at perpetrators. I'm giving you a few on each end, and I'm giving you disguises that nobody would think about. Someone who uses the verbiage with their supposed loved one, we move as one. We're a team. You're my whole world. I'm so jealous of my time with you. Someone who hits the puppy. Someone who strangles or throws the cat. Someone who keeps the family dog or keeps their dog out back, fenced in, living in a doghouse. Someone who is unkind to wait staff at a restaurant, or someone, you know, that's servicing them at a just simple grocery store, that sort of thing. Those are a few.
So we have situations in life where people can get off balance and then stay out of center, out of sort of fulfilled living, we'll call it, be up in the mind, whether it's PTSD, trauma, call it what you will, living in a state of just experiencing violence, negativity, tension, unable to even rest at home. Maybe they're sitting in a supermarket parking lot before or after the shopping trip, or they're just sitting in a supermarket parking lot for hours at a time wondering, where can I turn for help? So let's focus on, I mean, that can go on for decades. That can go on for a super long time. It's more often likely to go on as is and to perpetuate in one form or fashion. How can a person immediately take a chance and reach out for help? Or in terms of the healing process, in terms of reaching out to more of a transformative coach like yourself, how can a person take that chance? They're going to feel very, in a way, oddly enough, secure with the pattern of repeated pain. And so in a way, it's what they're conditioned to. They're not going to want to let it go. They can get stuck in it. And again, I'm not kidding when I say decades, especially like 1950s, 1960s. Now, human nature is human nature. Let's switch to, for a person who can just suddenly do a 180, good luck with that. How does a person like yourself help folks, or just teens who have experienced a taste of this, or adults who are looking simply to make normal changes in their life? And by that, I mean, they don't have to have gone through massive amounts of trauma. They just know that they're stuck. How do you operate? How do you come in and help assess a situation? Do you want to give us an example where you've stepped in and helped someone?
Yeah, that's a great question, Michael. So there's two areas that I assist. So first is as a domestic violence expert for major media, as you may know, for major media on network, typically news, TV. And I also speak in universities across the nation to educate students and medical professors. And the most common thing that I hear is, I didn't see the signs. And the problem is, most people don't know how to identify the disguises behind abuse. And sure, you may see a video that's gone viral of someone getting thrown like a rag doll, or someone showing up to court or doctor's office with bruises and black eyes, right? But how do we help those who are hiding in plain sight, right? Like I was. How do we help those people who are not only hiding in plain sight, but uh, are not, how do I really just not understanding how to even see the signs to begin with, right? Now, so to answer your question, as a domestic violence expert, that's how I help via speaking in universities and students and educating medical professors. I also collaborate with attorneys, high profile attorneys, on how to understand the mind and the behaviors of victims and perpetrators. It's really, really interesting to learn that they don't really understand the minds of and behaviors as they could, right? I'm not saying they don't want to, but the education needs to be there. So that's the piece where I help more from behind the scenes in the masses. Now let's talk about the coaching. So when I coach someone, I personally, I'm actually not a coach for victims. I literally coach, but I do specialize in coaching young adults in taking charge in their life and really stepping up and living into stepping up to live a high standard lifestyle. And high standard lifestyle, that means starting with yourself, high standards for yourself in love and honor and respect for yourself, high standard also in relationship with others, with family, friends, loved ones, intimate partners, and in the workplace, right? And then high standard of living in every area of your life. So not just your life spiritually and emotionally and physically, also talking about how we take care of our body, how we honor the temple, right? How we honor this vessel that carries our soul, our spirit. And so there's this connection that I use. Part of my approach is really a heart, brain, and being or spirit connection, right? Some people might say body, mind, spirit. I'm a little bit more specific because the brain is going to operate one way. The brain, by the way, is different than the mind. That's a whole nother podcast. Okay? Because we know there's one mind really, but you look, if everything was forefront of your mind, we would never be able to process the amount of thoughts that are around in the collective mind. So the brain is one thing, part of your physicality and how that functions. And then the heart is another. And how we connect the heart with the brain, with being, with our spirit, is really what rocks and rolls us, and is really what we're looking at to really make those really get a harmonious outcome in everything in our life. And when a life situation does happen, we have connected that. I talk about that in Truth to Triumph as well as the trilogy of trilogies. It's and look, it's not to get caught up in anything spiritual. If someone is a complete atheist, that's fine. The bottom line is, if it's not of the flesh, the body, it's spirit. It is what it is, right? So whatever that means to you or me or whoever's listening or viewing, it's just a matter of, what you could touch and feel and what you can't touch and feel, right? So that's really what I do as a coach. And that's how I really help as people can transform their lives as a young adult actually builds the blueprint for their life, which is why I love working with young adults, because I'm getting them before all of those mistakes. And I don't even like to use the word mistake, but again, for the purpose of using language here, most of us will say, oh, should have, would have, could have, or if I hadn't done this or I hadn't done that. We all know everything happens for a specific reason, all in divine reason, divine purpose. But the point is, we also know that if we're connected, right? Heart, brain, and being or spirit. As a young adult, we could build the blueprint that really brings us harmonious outcomes and the dreams that we dream to become reality, right? And that's really at the heart of what I do. Now, at the crux of that, I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast what those statistics are. Without even having to say anything, trust me when I tell you, 1 in 3 women or 1 in 4 men have already been a part of some kind of intimate partner abuse situation, and 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men of you people listening right now have already been involved with severe physical violence. So the stats are the stats. So if someone comes to me that has experienced that or is in that, then of course I can help them navigate through that as well. And then that's a whole different situation where if that's the case, then I'm big at exit plans. That's it. This is what you need to do. This is the exit plan that is effective. Exit plans are super important because that's what helps a victim do it smartly and even outsmart your perpetrator.
So do you have a message for those listening, anybody who's just suffering in general? It's a painful relationship with a cousin, a loved one, a close, intimate loved one. Do you have a message, though, when it comes to a particular topic here? Is it possible to reclaim your joy, reclaim your sense of balance? Is it possible to get back to living an ordinary but content life?
Oh, it's not only possible, it's your calling. No one's here to be abused. So it's not only possible, it's only a matter of the universe saying, where have you been? Let's go. Get on the train. We're waiting. No, that's your calling. Your calling is to live a harmonious life, live a life of love, and share that love. And the only other alternative to that is that you're going to receive that love.
And so you're talking about the universe here and the universe interacting with us. I love that as a topic. It's an area where a lot of folks have had a lot of experiences. Can you share with us ways that either we can invite the universe to help us, personal experiences of yours where you've asked and you've received, or something else having to do with the universe? But talk to us more about it's not just a static thing. It's not like you just are living a certain life path and it's ho-hum. Talk to us about how it's much more interactive, that we're meant to seize the reins. We're meant to not have, again, our well-being dictated to us and to surrender our own, control, authenticity, our power. There's authentic power. And I think that's important for you to cover. We'll cover the authentic power later. Talk to us about how we can be more demanding of our current situation in a positive outcome sort of way. Great
question. And I'm going to link that to the angel that just opened my door and came in. So I'm going to close my door.
Do it. We saw something going on because you looked over, and we would love to hear another angel story before we even get to how to ask the universe for help. Maybe Lily, let's lighten this up in a big way. Why don't Lily, why don't you give us just what words would you use if it was an hour from now, we're off the show, but you wanted to turn to angels, the universe, and you want something to happen? How would you phrase it to the universe? You're being heard. Give us some sort of inspirational thing. A viewer out there is watching this and they're like, okay, I'm watching Lily tell me how to ask the universe, how to ask angels for help. Give us an example from the past, but take us through what you could do daily.
Okay. And would you like me to also integrate that with someone that is suffering in pain in a bad relationship?
Let's do it so open-ended that that person can just use your words, but so could the person who's having a perfectly good life.
Great.
No complaints. But how do we even make the request?
Okay. So the beginning is always gratitude. So every day you start your day, thank you. Thank you for your love and your unconditional honor. Thank you. And then it becomes the next, I'm going to use the word affirmation, but I want to be very clear here. Okay. It's not a wish. It's not a command. It's not an instruction. It's a knowing. So thank you. I have perfect relationships in my life. I have perfect people in my life. Thank you. You notice how I'm always in gratitude, right? The perfect people, the perfect situations are with me and I cultivate harmonious relationships. Now, you can tweak that to your personal situation that you're feeling in that season in your day or week or life. You know, everything has a season. So you're always going to start with thank you. Let's say it's one of those weeks where everything's breaking down in the house. I'm just making, hypothetically speaking. Okay. Wake up in the morning. First of all, let's say you had the worst day. Everything's breaking down, whatever. You about to go to sleep at night. Never go to sleep at night without gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for all of the situations that I have right now. I'm grateful for the opportunities that the broken refrigerator or the dishwasher or the leaky faucet or whatever that is has brought me. I know, or not even know, I have perfect situations and everything brings me harmonious outcomes. Go to sleep. That's it. Don't put any thought to anything. Don't start thinking. In fact, that's going to help you sleep as a baby when you practice this. I'm going to repeat that. Practice. You have to practice this every single day. Now you wake up in the morning, same thing. Thank you. Not, oh my goodness, let me go and let me see if the faucet is still leaking. Just in bed. You didn't even lift your body off the mattress yet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for harmonious situations in my life. Thank you for this beautiful day about to unfold. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity that I have right now. Get up, go, okay. If the faucet is leaking again, so what? Remember, what I show you is how to go beyond it. Okay, faucet's leaking, thank you. Okay. Whether you know exactly what to do at that moment or not about the leaky faucet is irrelevant. What's relevant here is that you're not a basket case and you already now have already trained your brain that it's okay and it's not the end of the world and it's gonna turn out to be a harmonious outcome. If you're doing the opposite, it's gonna destroy you. Doesn't matter if it's a leaky faucet or someone that's bothering you at work or your intimate partner or your troublesome teenager. Doesn't matter what the situation is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's do this. If a person does experience in their lifetime a rocky path, more than a rocky path, physical, mental, if everything's energy, they've accumulated quite a bit of baggage. It's not something that most of us are accustomed to just being able to shed like that.
Mhm.
So we can call it trauma, we can call it PTSD, we can call it the pain body if we do Eckhart Tolle.
Mhm.
Talk to us about the concept of the hand that we're dealt and how to turn what could be viewed as a painful, suffering, abusive, tragic hand into a royal flush. Talk to us about how is this the opportunity to grow into a giant foundation for better living moving forward, in which you may even end up helping others. You may end up turning into that amazing artist that you've always wanted to be. You were too busy spinning in circles for decades. You've got a unique life path. You're a unique soul doing something unique on planet Earth. How do we reclaim our authenticity, our power, our resilience? How do we get the cork out of the bottle? And if we're the genie, how do we escape out of the bottle and start, breathing good air again? Talk to us about this whole dynamic, but more of it an energetic. I want to do spiritual. What are the flows involved here?
Yeah. So, that's the essence of truth to triumph, right? I initially I was going to call my book "Don't Let This Happen to You." Look, the fact that I can be here today and laugh about it all, that's victory all in itself. And the fact that I can have definitely triumphed over all of the adversity that I've been through. If I could do it, look, it's not something I made up. It took me 15 years to learn, because I didn't even actually mention that in and out of all this is that when most people run for their life, there's really not the support that you think there is, and nobody prepares you for all the other crap that falls on your head. Great. Now you're losing your business. Now all the attorneys are taking the money that now you have to take your son out of like private school. Like now the court makes you sell your house. In many cases, everyone has their own story, right? In my case, it was like this never ending, right? And how do you turn that around? How do you make it, how do you turn that around? And so in short, what I found was, and I say this in truth to triumph in some point, really the fable of all fables is really looking at your life instead of wishing upon a star or wishing on that Cinderella wish or whatever wish that is for any man or woman or they out there. Everyone has this wish of what they perceive is going to bring them their happily ever after, right? That's the best way I'm going to put that for this moment. And the truth is that we already have that. We already have the happily ever after right in here. And for those of you that are listening, I'm touching my heart. We already have that happily ever after. And that heart is connected to that, not even universe. I don't even talk universe typically, and I talk in truth to triumph. This is not a linear world. It's not even a universal world. It's a multiverse. We talk about this all the time. So that's how big and powerful that, and I'm going to use the word God because God, that works for me. If someone that's listening or viewing, if that doesn't work for them, that's fine. Replace that. When I use the word God, replace that with something else, whatever works for you. But for me, that's how big God is. He's bigger than even this universe. It's a multiverse. It's not even infinity, because even infinity has an end. It's beyond. It's immeasurable.
So people are not alone. People can ask for help, and it may be a one-way asking for help, and then they're still stuck. So they've just been one way outbounding the whole time. At some point, the suffering, the pain, the injury, the trauma, the PTSD, and everything else is going to get so bad that one of a few different options are going to happen. But at some point, there has to be action with no thought. Scariest thing in the world. How do you take that step, the leap of faith? Feels like you're leaping off not even a waterfall that's 7-story tall, but a mile tall. You're basically ending your existence because you were so used to this and one-dimensional, and you can't even imagine freedom. You can't even imagine that the simplest action step through the heart, no thinking, no PTSD, no details. This is where you come in, or somebody has to come in. You have to be able to almost get plucked out of the situation. You have to ask for it. There's no interference in one sense, because that's what these folks can be. They can be very strongly aligned with the story to the point where they're denying it. They're choosing the pain versus choosing liberation, no matter what the details are. It's something where, talk to us about taking action with no thought, that leap, that critical moment, that escape plan, that desire suddenly for light out of darkness. How, when, what? Give us something, but give us a mantra associated with it that could apply to just Joe or Sarah, and they're working some sort of job. They don't have all this turmoil going on, but the action point here, that they just are worried about a smaller situation. They're still the same amount of fear. They're limiting themselves. They don't know it. What's sort of the action advice you've got about everything to start living again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's where locksmith to the heart comes.
Yes.
That's exactly.
What's the key? What's the key? You got to give us the key.
Yeah. The key is actually understanding that it's not a life situation or another human, or I'm sorry, and I love animals just as much as the next person, or a dog that's going to turn that key. The only one that's going to turn that key is you. You have that lock. You have that ability to turn it. No one else. No one else is no one else is on this planet to save you, just as much as you're not here to save anyone else on this planet. You're only here to live in love. You're only here to express love. And so it's interesting because many, many, many years ago, I remember hearing a religious leader say, and this is really important for people that are religious in many different religions. I heard him say one day, we're not here. We don't marry someone to make each other better. And I was like, yes, it's like, that's so on point. But if you're whole, if you've turned that key, and I'm going to tell you how, the first is knowing that you're the only one, that you're the locksmith to your own heart, no one else, and no thing else, and no amount of money, and no amount of power. Only you, your power, your power. But the other thing is, once you're feeling whole and you've brought yourself to that space where you've opened your heart and you're whole with yourself, then you also have, again, I don't like to use the word instruct, but you've also situated yourself with the universe or God or Mother Nature or whatever that looks like for you, that you have harmonious relationships, or you have harmonious situations in your life, that you know how to navigate and balance out every situation for a harmonious outcome. Then that person who is also whole with him or herself then you can both, then you could both actually enjoy each other together and bring not the best out in each other as much as I want to say, you could kind of enjoy the same raft on the same ocean and be like, hey, oh, you want to switch oars? Okay, like you can't take it so seriously. It's not like, I don't get enough of this. She doesn't give me enough of that. He doesn't give me enough of that. It's not about that. It's just about how you can just harmoniously ride the loving, fun waves of this world and this ocean together. And if you can't stand, if it's too crazy on your side of the boat, it's up to you. Come on, come over on my side. Let me come over on my side. It's I got you. And then vice versa. It's really about what we're giving, how we can give. And look, men and women, and we know we're built different. We feel differently, we express differently for the most part, right? We have different ways. Men are from women, men are from Venus, women are from Mars, or vice versa, right? Like, but it's
John
true.
Gray.
Yeah, it's just psychologically, it's true, right? But it doesn't mean that that's going to, that's the be all and end all of, how you pick out a relationship. That's after the fact. The psychological stuff, that, again, that's the brain. It all starts with turning that lock. And the first step to turning that key is knowing I'm the only one that can turn it. My significant other can't turn my key. Only I can. And I'm the same one that could close it. So when you've had a tumultuous, adverse yesterday, it can only stop you from harmonious situations today if you give yesterday the power over today. And a lot of people, have said to me, oh yeah, you're always talking about being in the moment. Well, even if the moment ends. And I say, yeah, that's the beauty of it. Because even the moment ends. Thank you. Thank you for underscoring my point. So honestly, because you asked for a mantra, nothing's forever, and look, everything's for a while, nothing's forever. However, which way you want to put that. Nothing's forever, everything's for a while. However you want to weave that into the real essence of what a moment or a situation or a season is in your life, at work, in a relationship, right? Everything's for a while, nothing's forever. Even this body, our body eventually gets tired and it expires, but the spirit doesn't expire. And if someone listening or viewing, they don't believe in that, fine, happy days. It doesn't stop it from being true. And if you still are stuck in, okay, life is only in this body till it dies, great. That makes you work even harder at living in the moment and understanding you're the only one that has the key to unlock your heart to the things that serve you. That's the second thing. You have to be aware of the things that serve you.
And what do you mean by that? The things that serve us? Just if you could explain a little bit more.
Good question.
What's the context here?
Yeah, good question. So something that really innately aligns with, how will I put this? Something that innately aligns with your happiness. Something that innately brings you happiness. Something that when I say innate, something you don't have to work for. Something that you're not even putting a thought to, or a thinking, or an affirmation, nothing. You innately know that this makes me happy.
So if I was passionate for years, decades about oil painting, it's just something that was in my blood. I used to do it all the time, but then I met John or Sarah and things happened. I'm miserable. I've gone through 15 years not telling anybody about anything, or just less than that. The point is, when you tap into what's part of your core existence system, how about that? Everyone's unique. They all have their own interests. It could be just mystery novels. You haven't touched them in decades. You're saying tap into, it might not be physical activities. It might be just being centered again and going for the walk on the beach, appreciating, allowing. So you're talking about getting back into the swing of living.
Yeah. Starting with the heart.
Yeah.
Starting with the heart being open. And that means guarding your thoughts. Again, that's another chapter in my book, Truth to Triumph, guarding your thoughts.
Wait, so are we our thoughts?
No, absolutely not. That's a great question. And I'm going to bust that myth right now. We are not our thoughts. Thoughts are everywhere, and they come from the collective mind. If all the thoughts in the world of the universe or the multiverse, of all the thoughts that exist come from our brain, we wouldn't even be able to focus on not just 1 second. We actually choose the thoughts. So choose wisely, and then guard yourself from the thoughts that do not make you happy, that do not keep you in harmony with good things. And so if the popular crowd is saying, oh, we're all going to this place for, let's see, what have we got coming up? Valentine's tomorrow. The popular crowd says, we're all going here and we're going to have a great Valentine's and we're going to party into the wee hours and whatnot. If your inner self says, I don't even want, do I want to do that? Do I want to even drink alcohol? Do I want to feel like garbage in the morning? Like whatever that is, that is the voice of love in your heart saying, listen, that's the voice saying, this is how you really rock and roll. This is what really stirs you in a good way or a bad way. So you kind of listen. So it's okay to say, yeah, I think I'm gonna pass with a smile, but it's a firm, I call it a high-powered no. It's okay to say no to something. You're not here to be a people pleaser. You're here to please your heart, and your heart will never fail anyone else either. So pleasing your heart is pleasing the world, by the way. Okay. And there's a big difference between what you think, there's a big difference between logic and wisdom. And so there's saying no to things that you feel is not going to make you happy. Look, I don't know why I brought up alcohol, but I guess because that's what a lot of people do on holidays, and tomorrow's Valentine's Day, right? Do you know the statistics of how many people fight on Valentine's Day because they drank too much alcohol? I mean, come on. And look, I put it out there. So for anyone, I'm not bashing alcohol. In fact, some people are much nicer after 1 or 2 glasses of wine. Okay. But it's when you go beyond that, it starts to become ugly. And I see it. I'm 60 years old. I've lived life. I see it. I see it. And so I just brought up that as a scenario, but there are things that serve you. Career, for example. I've been in this job. I'm miserable. I hate it. But I'm earning like high six figures. Okay. So how many hours are you spending in your job? Oh my God. 60 hours a week. Okay. So 240 hours a month times how much vacation do you take? Oh, I can't take vacation. I can't take vacation. Oh, great. You do the math. You think about how many hours you're spending divided by whatever you're earning. And then try and pinpoint how much time you're taking for yourself. And that's when people start to, boil down to, wow, I'm really miserable. Are you really miserable just in your career or your job? Probably not, because you think that doesn't trickle into everything in your life? I don't really know many people that are miserable in their relationships that just love their job.
Lily,
Or
if you're in the heart, there's something called awareness, listening, discerning. It's kind of the key ingredient for distinguishing these different energy flows, making better decisions or better decision making, having that skill that some people automatically have. They've just always made good decisions. They seem to have a solid navigation system. But for most of us, it's a learning process. Trial and error. You figure out what works, what doesn't work. A lot of suffering. I mean, experience is the best instructor. If there's slipstreams, global slipstreams, unconsciousness, all that pain, suffering, people telling you how to live, all of those different nuances in there. And then there's a global slipstream of unconditional love, joy, positivity, enthusiasm, creativity, singing, dancing, letting go, all the up the scale. If it's a harp, the higher pitches and stuff like that. How again do we cultivate? What advice do you have for cultivating listening to our hearts? This applies to us all on the journey in life. How do we pay attention better?
I've got one sentence. And I'm happy to explain it. And I also say this in Truth to Triumph, but in one sentence, just knowing that love brings answers and wisdom that stretch far beyond human logic.
So trust love.
Yes. Not people, I'm not saying don't love people. Don't take this the wrong way, everyone, but trust love. Love is what brings answers and wisdom. Wisdom's key. That stretch far beyond human logic. Human logic did not save the earth this far.
Yep.
It didn't save, right? We've been killing each other for hundreds of years.
Or conventional wisdom. How about that?
Yeah.
Do you have a centering exercise, a grounding exercise you do? Anything you can share you could use it every day that helps people know that they're in their heart, or just to feel presence or to feel a little more space around them so they can breathe? There's times where we get so caught up in the details, situations, drama, pain, that it feels like you can't even breathe. There's a weight on your chest. And so, a person who's watching this is like, yeah, this is all nice talk, but it doesn't apply to me. I'm stuck, and I'm staying stuck for a long time. What can you do to help a person pump the brakes, slow down a little, and rediscover that what they think they lost never went away, but they do have to do some work, opening up? How do you usually do it for yourself, daily, weekly? I mean, it's remember to remember if you can remember. What do you do? What should we all do?
Yeah. First I want to start with saying that anyone that does feel stuck, that they don't feel bad about it. So, because we all get there. We're all there at one point or another in our life. The point is that you do take those moments and use certain tools to get unstuck, right? So if you're stuck, be in acceptance of it. Oh, okay, I'm really stuck. Stuck. Now you're in acceptance. Fine. Great question about how to ground. And this is what specifically has worked for me. There are different breathing methodologies out there. What has worked immensely for me, coming from immense adversity and pain, is the breathing, not the traditional, which people usually learn. What worked for me and what I use and what I coach people to use, if it so fits them, is breathing through the mouth, not inhaling through the nose. I'm going to explain why. Because emotions come in through the mouth. I'm going to repeat that. Emotions come in through the mouth. They don't come in through the nose. So we want to breathe in the emotions with it. We want to breathe in through the mouth. You can breathe in for 4, fantastic. And exhale through the mouth. Now, some people might be thinking, what does she mean emotions come through the mouth? Have you ever laughed through your nose? Have you ever cried through your nose? Have you ever gotten scared through your nose? Have you ever screamed in anger through your nose? Every single emotion that I'm aware of, and there's millions of them, but every one that most of us have felt once in our lifetime, maybe 100 times in our lifetime, are through the mouth. When you get scared, it's like, ah! When you cry, ah! Right? So those emotions, bring in the energy from life through the mouth. As you hold it in, envision that white light energy going through every single molecule in your body, and then coming back out through the mouth, the emotions that do not serve you out through the mouth. And you do that several times. I've had many people just eventually, maybe by the 4th exhale, just cry and say, I wasn't even upset. Because we don't realize what we're holding in here. There's not only the emotions that are at the forefront of your brain, but then there's the emotions that are deep-seated that we've suppressed. You got to get that out every single day. If you have to do this, if you have a lot of pain body, I suggest you do this like every moment, like 4 times a day if you can. Do that inhaling and exhalation at least 4 to 5 times until it feels clear. What does that mean, clear? You're just breathing in the life and you're exhaling life. And believe it or not, you're going to, at the end of that exercise, you're going to say, wow, you know, I don't even really care about that situation just happened. I'm going to be okay.
So just getting to your heart, centering, taking breaths, relaxing
Through the mouth
can help you shift your perspective so the things you look at change. And then there's the
it actually releases those emotions that don't serve you. And right. Because of that release, now the perspective, the mindset. It's called mindset to most. I call it a brain set. Now your brain has just connected with your heart in the most powerful way, so that now it's set to be calm.
So finding your reconnecting with your presence, reconnecting to everything that's within and around you, allows you to shift on details, unplug a little bit from situations so that you can get a broader perspective and gain clarity and maybe a little momentum on the action front, taking action with less thought or worry about repercussions, but actually just getting straight to where action, real action happens here. Athletes know it, artists know it, singers know it, professional dance actresses on stage or on, One Life to Live back in the day, they know it. To transact well, you can't be worrying about all the details. It's just action, right? It's what Geronimo would tell us. Get on that stallion, grab the mane, ride, ride, ride. Don't look left. Don't look right. Don't look behind you. Just do.
Exactly. And you said a key word, which I use all the time, unplug. We don't want to plug in. We want to unplug from the matrix, if you will. We want to unplug from the conditioned patterns and instruction of the world. We want to unplug from that so that we're free of all that conditioning that's actually driving us crazy. When someone says, "Oh, that person's out of her mind," yeah, exactly.
There's a moment in the gymnastics movie, I think it's 2006, Nick Nolte, Amy Smart, Peaceful Warrior. There's a moment where the gas station attendant, it's like an adult Karate Kid film, Mr. Miyagi sort of figure. He's walking on Berkeley's campus. It's telling the story of Dan Millman, the author. Got a little bit of Zen in it. He's walking with him on campus, and he says to the young sophomore gymnast, "We want you out of your mind, Dan. And it's a good thing."
That's what I'm talking about. And I've never saw that film.
If people unplug, if they practice getting to their heart, is it true that they already have everything they need within? Is it true that there's unlimited sort of love, potential, that they're bigger than they'll ever realize? Give us a reminder, a taste of that. You've lived it. You probably didn't believe it in the thick of things because when you're in the middle of a storm in the Atlantic on one of those tall ships, the old days, it's hard to believe in rainbows, sunshine. It's thick clouds, gale force winds, hurricane, whatever, and 50-foot waves. Talk to us about how beautiful it is being here.
It is beautiful being here. And again, it goes back down to trusting love and that trust and also another thing that I say, not just about that love, bringing the answers and wisdom, but also being here, it allows you for that trust that really hovers above logic, keeping you unplugged, if you will, right? Above logic, in a space of uncertainty that tells you that everything is okay. And if it's not okay in that moment, that same trust tells you that everything, that no matter what the mind or the brain was telling you, it tells you that that space of uncertainty, that space knows that all is well. And that space is presence. I always say that presence is that space in between thought. Thought is where we veer off, we skew off course. Presence is that space in between thought. And when you talked about as an athlete from the heart, a performer from the heart, an actor from the heart, one of the things that little did I know that I learned as when I was first learning my craft as an actor decades ago. I know I'm dating myself, but there I said it. Decades ago, there were like many, many methodologies of acting for acting, and all kinds of method acting and all kinds of methodologies. And as someone who wanted to really continue to like perform like on theater and be like a really, really like really hone my craft on the theater in New York, I remember that I was in this off-Broadway show, or off Broadway, and I had a key role, and I wanted to know how would I wow the audience today like I did last night? Because think about it, you're doing the same show 7 or 8 times a week, right? And it's impossible to do the same thing, right? It's all live. And so that question is what really made me pick out a specific methodology that I'm doing a plug on this, didn't realize this, but this is an organic show, right? For the Meisner method. The Meisner method is all about presence.
But not recall.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was reading either your book or it was.
No, it was from my book.
It was from your book. Yeah, I've read parts of it, but I haven't done the whole thing. Sorry.
Exactly. So in other words, I can't get up on stage and what am I going to recall my dead cat every night? That's not going to work.
Because you need tears. What about the Meisner method though? Pretend it's not about acting on stage. It's something that we can all apply walking into the workplace. We're not excited about work one week. Some coworkers have been rough on us, or we're just not as motivated all of a sudden. You know, the ebb and flow of life happens. Yep. But how can we apply it, whether we're getting on the soccer field, family picnic, but with cousins we don't enjoy? How do we keep our chin up? How do we motor forward? How does the Meisner method translate to living?
Good question. The Meisner method is all about presence. So you and I are speaking on this platform right now. Okay. And so let's say you're speaking to me and I'm doing all sorts of things back here, moving, shaking, what. You would not be true and present if you didn't say, Lily, I can't help but notice, but what's going on in the background there? If you kept going on whatever you've scripted yourself to cover on your podcast and ignored the fact that I was all over the place back here, you wouldn't really be present to how I was behaving. And I'm certainly not present to how you're behaving or what you're doing, right? So it's like, for instance, so hypothetically speaking, you mentioned work. So you walk into work and most people, they pass by, they go to the water cooler, they pass by, they say hello to the same people. Morning, morning, morning. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Right? How many people stop and really care about how someone's doing when they say, how you doing? I could think of it's just like a habit to say that, right? But when you have real presence, you're listening to exactly what's going right in front of you, whatever person that is or situation, and you have a keen awareness of what's going on, and then you move forward as a result of what you've witnessed, as a result of what's going on, what you're aware of in the reality of that moment.
And if it's helpful for the viewers, you know, your presence is a physical thing at the energy level. You might only normally, I'm going to have to just wing it here, but if you're just a 4-foot diameter ball of light, or I guess if you're 6 feet tall, you're a 6-foot diameter ball of light, but the more present you are in your heart, the more you're expanding. This exactly. Is plugging into consciousness. We'll flip the whole concept of plugging in on its head. You're plugging into more love, more universe, more world, more interdimensional love, expansion. But my point is, you're going further out with your energy. You're touching people from further out. Somebody who's cranky, having a hard time, might actually look up from their desk and say hi when they normally don't, because they're subconsciously feeling your lighter vibe. And so something to be aware of is you become a healing presence, a healing listener, and others may dump on you. So knowing your boundaries and not you'll be taken down in a heartbeat by the crowds, because by the fifth person coming and telling you their woe from the weekend, your presence is going to shrink back to where it normally is. You got to have some balance, some boundaries, some awareness of how all that works. Who are the authors that you would turn to recommend that people get started with? You mentioned John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I think of Byron Katie right away for those who are stuck on their thinking, like, this family member is this way, my husband, my wife is this way, my child is this way. It's how it is. And she takes a crowbar. All she does is really one professional ninja kung fu move like Bruce Lee. She shows you that there's very few absolutes on any of your statements. She shows you how to get out of here, married to your conditioning, to get to here, to have openness. So I love Byron Katie. She's a pro at it. Holy cow. I think she calls it the work. Who are some others? I can mention, by the way, A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle. He talks about cultivating your authentic presence here and how situations fade with the kind of candlelight of that. Who are your favorites?
So, okay, so Eckhart Tolle is one of my favorites of all favorites, A New Earth. And I should, of course, The Power of Now, but A New Earth is, that's actually the before Power of Now. I know Power of Now is the more popular one, but A New Earth is very powerful. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And I'm going to tell you, you might want to write this down. I'm going to tell you this one. I'm actually opening it up because I don't know how to spell it. So it's an old one. You've got to really search. It's old. Can't even remember who turned me on to this. Bo Yin Ra. And there's the book on the royal art, Bo Yin Ra. Hopefully I did not botch up how you spell that.
Is it B-O?
Yes.
And then a new word.
Y-I-N, and then Ra.
R-A-H?
Just R-A.
Okay, got it close. And it's the book on the royal art.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about this book. Why is this jumping out? You've found a real gem. There isn't going to be another mention of this book for the next decade.
Oh
so
my
why
goodness.
does
I
this
know.
book kick butt?
I'm resurrecting it. There's the book on royal art and there's the book on love. And he is
Is he still alive?
no.
Okay.
And he depicts the teachings of celestial love like no one. Like I actually need to reread this. This is like a bedside book to me. And I had no idea that you were going to ask this, so I had no idea I was going to give this book a plug. But I'm glad
I love this. This is a
you
real
gotta
moment.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got to mention on A New Earth, just to show how there's the slipstream of unconsciousness, the slipstream of love, the two opposites. Everything up here, I don't want to knock being up in the brain, but a lot of it's unconsciousness or different degrees of neutral to negativity. Don't worry about it. You're still going to do it anyhow. And then there's the heart. If you're in the wrong spot when you pick up A New Earth, you're going to get sleepy or not be able to get 2 paragraphs through that material. And it's a great bedside book regardless, because if you're the type that's having a hard time falling asleep at night, your ego has a choice to read something that's going to get you to here, help you practice your presence. And he mentions something in the book about when you confront a situation, instead of letting it go on for 2 decades like we normally would do, it was, face it, accept it, and something else. It was like three choices. He had it down perfectly. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason, I can never remember what those three choices are, but maybe you'll help us recall
Mm-hmm.
that in just a second. But the brain, the psyche, the ego, the part that can really
The
get
last
you
one,
stuck.
last
Yeah.
one, let it go.
Yeah. And let it go. The brain that can keep perpetuating everything that we don't like and make us suffer and help us suffer ourselves, um, has a choice. Either let you fall asleep or suffer through what it views as pure pain, which is just words of love.
Yes.
Books that help you get to your heart, the brain doesn't know what to do. And so it would rather have you fall asleep at night. So if you need a bedside book that's going to help you just out like a light, you're the type who's like, no, I'm 2 hours every night. I still haven't fallen asleep. I go to bed at 9. I haven't fallen asleep by midnight. That's the book for you. It's a kind of an orange looking book, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And then if you do like it, boy, does he go big picture. It's not an indictment on humanity. It's just highlighting, I'll do a positive spin. It's highlighting all of our potential for growth daily and collectively.
Absolutely. If I recall, he opens up the book as talking about the lotus flower as it buds, right? But that's another bedside book. And I've got to tell you, again, organic conversation. So I never thought I'd be saying this here, but I'm going to put it out here now. And I've told this to people in the past. And did I say this on stage in a speaking engagement? Maybe not, but I'm going to say it here. I listened to Eckhart Tolle on the CDs in my
The audio CDs, sure, for the car. And
yes, before we were able to put it in our phones, because that's not so new, that's not so old to do the audiobooks like in the phone. Yeah. So I would listen to them all day long. I would read the book.
I have the audiobook. The orange thing right there is the audiobook.
There you go. Read the book, A New Earth. I front to back, I was listening to it all the time, that even my ex-husband became jealous of Eckhart Tolle. You're always listening to that, right? 2 years, I back to back again and again and again, A New Earth, and then The Power of Now, until I really got it, and I was really strong enough to build my exit plan. 2 years of studying that. And there was one thing that he said in there that made me take action. And the action I will tell you about after I tell you what the sentence was. He said, sometimes it takes 3 failed relationships before you have an awakening. And with that, and I heard it before, but it's like reading the Bible. You could read like the same the same verses until finally after the 100th time, you're like, oh, when I heard that, when I was ready to hear it, when I was really ready to hear what those words were, I wept. And what I realized was I wasn't giving myself permission to get out of the pain because I was living in blame and self-blame and guilt. Self-blame that I was causing this, and guilt that my poor son was in this life with me. And when he said, sometimes it takes 3 failed relationships to have an awakening, I wept as if he was right next to me saying, you're not alone, Lily. You know what? Sometimes it takes 3. And I said, I let it go. I release it. I let it go. I'm ready to say, I failed 3 times. And now I know. Now I know my way. That's all I needed to know. And he also said one other thing. This is connected. I want to make sure I responsibly say this right. Again, don't quote me, but I pretty much know a lot of these in my head. He says something to the effect of, he talks about the pain bodies, which was off the charts for me, because that helped me understand how much it wasn't me and how much pain bodies were on my former husband. How many pain bodies were living inside of him, not dormant. They were living, breathing pain bodies, right? Many of us, some of us go through a lifetime with dormant pain bodies. This particular, my ex-husband had very lively, active pain bodies. So now I understood that piece. Great, check that off. I studied this for 2 years. I checked that off, great. Got the pain bodies. But there was a piece that he put in there at the end of, I don't know, whatever chapter it was, but when he was talking about the pain bodies, he said, sometimes you just need to say no. And he used, I don't remember what word he used, but I don't remember what word he used, but the essence of what he was saying was in a very, like a very assertive no. You don't have to say it in any way except no. You're not accepting that, and it's okay to do that. So however he put that, I can't remember. We'll have to come back. If people start leaving, if people could leave messages on the chat, that would be great. I'll come back into the conversation. I'll pull that quote out for you, and I'll tell you, because that was another thing which I call today, I call a high-powered no. No is no. No is not maybe. See, the world tells you, oh, when a woman says no, it means maybe. When a woman says maybe, it means yes. And the reason why I'm doing this Mickey Mouse voice is because that's what the world teaches you. And that's bullshit. When a man or a woman says no, it means no. When I say no, I mean no. I don't mean maybe. I don't mean someday. I don't mean I'll think about it. I mean no. And that's what every single victim needs to understand. That's what every single perpetrator needs to understand. When someone says no, they mean no. And so that was the two things that were life-changing for me. But that one thing, sometimes it takes 3 failed relationships. I just forgave myself. I let go of the reins, and I said,
Now, Lily and I haven't talked about the audio CD, and I'm just going to get up and grab 2 books. But I would say that Eckhart Tolle, his voice on the audio CDs is incredible. Could you tell us about his presence?
Yeah. So his presence is to listen to him. Look, I know that you told the audience that, as a former actress, there's no acting going on here. I haven't been on a stage in God knows how many years. But here's the deal. The deal is that what I took from that background formerly, again, I talked about Meisner, was presence. So I'm very crystal clear on when someone's being present. And so one of the things that you can hear in his voice, even in the audio, is that he's extremely present. So if you're looking to be entertained in this book, this is not the book for you.
But it's perfect for falling asleep if you're trying to reject it or anything else, because your brain is going to shut down. It can't listen to his voice.
Because it's monotone, because that's the way he speaks. And he's not going to change the way he speaks or put his message forth in any other way except the way he does it, and that's fine. You or I, we may add like inflections. There you go.
So I have 2 books that I'm going to mention. One's The Art of Listening in a Healing Way, and the other is The Art, I think it's a being a healing presence.
Ah,
And it's James E. as in Echo Miller with Susan Cutshaw. But he does it's Willow Green is the publishing group. And these are the shortest 5-minute reads. His first book is 1 page for the chapter with 1 page of quotes, or it's the other way around, 2 pages, 1 page of quotes. His second book, I think he cut it in half and only did 1 page. And so you're kind of almost begging for more. It would be the equivalent of Eckhart Tolle, except it's not. He goes long with Power of Now and everything else. The art of being a healing presence, the art of listening in a healing way. It doesn't mean you have to be a psychiatrist. It doesn't mean you have to be a coach, but it's cultivating your authentic presence. It's recognizing there's something bigger than us, something bigger than our situations, our definitions, are being defined by others. And it's what I wanted to point to. I had a quick war story here. I might have told it on one of the podcast shows this year. I'm not sure on that. But I just wanted to mention there was a time, and I always suggest if you need an assist on identifying your ego, your psyche, the part of you that's negative, that keeps you locked up, keeps you holding on to the jail cell window bars so you don't look back and realize the door is wide open. Whereas Lily would say, you've got the key, just open up the damn door and leave, take your action. It's always available as an option, but you're not going to feel like it for a million reasons. There's only one way to get to here and take action. It's just do it. But back to, there was a time where I'm in my original Austin home. I've been teaching folks to give their ego a name, like an opera singer name, a Formula One race car driver. You know, if it's an Argentina soccer star, Fittipaldi, give your ego a name, something that you're not laughing at your ego, but you're not taking it as seriously. I think I did Mr. Higglesworth or something. So I've given that as an exercise to others. I'm making coffee. I've got a full Starbucks 20-ounce coffee mug in my hand. It's full. And I realize I'm having thoughts that I don't believe are me. I'm usually a pretty happy guy, pretty lighthearted, but it's heavy. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, just spotting the situation you're in can be a K2, a Himalayan mountain, Kilimanjaro. You know, it can be the hardest thing. It's just being aware of where you're putting yourself. So I'm like, wow, those thoughts don't seem like me. Light bulb goes off. I'm an idiot. I'm like, I think I'm in one of those situations I've been trying to help people identify. I could take some action right here. I should address my ego. So I said, hello, Mr. Higglesworth. How are you? Would you like a hug? Out loud in my kitchen. No one else is in the house. Full cup of coffee right here. But you can't do it from a non-loving position. You've got to do it from your heart and be authentic and sincere. You have to own the offer of a hug, and you can't be trying to give it a black eye. It will give you a black eye right back. Every fire alarm in my house, top to bottom at that moment, went off. And had it been a year or two earlier, I would have dropped that mug and run out of my house, called, my emergency helpline. Someone was helping me with all the seeing and the hearing and the feeling that I was doing. So I instead had a shaky hand spilling some coffee, put it down, and called my lifeline. Point of this is, yes, you've got an ego. It's not going away. It's not in the cards for all of us. You're going to have thoughts that aren't pleasant. They're not you. And if you had the thought, don't beat yourself up on it. Let it go. Move on. Try to find ways to an Esther Hicks pivot to find your center again. And so what I wanted to mention is there are plenty of experts out there, plenty of exercises we can do, plenty of ways to lighten up, to find our center, to not have to react to the energies around us. I'll blow you some sage smoke from San Antonio, Texas to West Palm Beach. She's normally in Long Island. We have with us Lily Sanders, Lily Sanders. She's author of Truth to Triumph. Did I get it right? Yes, Truth to Triumph. There's a little bit of my books leaning over where her book was. I'll pull it off the shelf. You can get it on Amazon. I believe it's 2017 was when it was published.
Yes.
She's an actress, professional dancer, author, coach, has been recognized as a top 15 New York City coach. I think it's 3 times now. She helps people get unstuck. Somebody once described her as locksmith for the heart. She helps you, to the heart. She helps you figure out where you're at, helps you go through the self-awareness process and to identify the action steps. I'm going to light some sage. We did this before the show. She and I have talked a bunch She has a show beyond the current situation. We did 2 hours and 45 minutes almost a year ago to the day, February 8th of last year. You can check that out. She's on, most of the major platforms and stuff. You'll see it on Spotify and so on. But she's talked to angels, she's seen angels, she's gotten hugs from angels. Audrey Hepburn, again, she did One Life to Live, ABC as an actress in the 90s. She's done off Broadway, off Broadway. Here's a little bit of sage. If you could give yourself permission to let go, as everyone should do who's looking at the sage smoke. If you're just driving along, you don't have to see the sage smoke. You can just be listening.
Get it right.
Yeah, trust that it's there. It just would be like getting a hug from an angel. Don't try to wrap your head around it. It's the opposite. Let your heart just do its job. And feel what you feel. Now, let's say you've just choked and you needed water to get cleared out again.
Like I did.
Yeah, let the sage smoke clear you out and ask angels to step in, and you fill in the blank for the person out there. Okay, I just am really tired from mowing the lawn all day. I need some fatigue relief. That's what John or Sarah in Iowa is, or not Iowa right now, New Mexico is going to be asking for. Ask and receive. Allow, ask, and receive. So are you smelling the sage smoke, Lily?
I am. And I want to, while you're still, I love that, and I could still smell it. It's not that there's two things that I wanted to touch upon that you were saying while I was, by the way, choking back here, is Lily would say there is no door. Not that it's closed, but that there is no door. There's, like the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. I say there is no glass. So don't even look at the doors. There is no doors. Again, those are the things that logic, those are the barriers that the condition that they're bringing you, right? There's no doors. And when it comes to ego, yeah, we all have ego, right? It's not that ego is bad. It's that sometimes it can be very unconscious. And when it's unconscious, it doesn't serve us. And that's the problem with that. So letting go of the ego, look, it's going to happen. Otherwise you wouldn't brush your hair in the morning. I wouldn't brush my teeth, right? But it's that there's those bits of ego that creep in that can be highly unconscious. And that's where it becomes dangerous and where it doesn't serve us. And when I say it doesn't serve us, I mean, it's not bringing us harmony or happiness, right? So, even talking about unlocking the heart, like, the key to the heart, right? Locksmith to the heart. The truth is that really you're unlocking the illusion that you're blocked. Everything.
Oh, I love that. Can you say that again for us? Because that is probably one of the top 5 moments of the show.
Yeah. So when we talk about like someone naming me the locksmith to the heart, which was a radio host in the Bay Area in San Francisco, he named me that, and it stuck. It's not that you're really unlocking, you're unlocking the illusion that something is closed. Because really, just like there's no door, there's no glass, there's really no lock.
I love it. I mean, the heart is ready to go in any instant, and all moments can really be the same. And as angels remind us, you can be happy now in this very moment for no reason whatsoever. Are you ready to maybe meet a few angels again? These are old acquaintances, but I'll put some angel photos up. And why don't we do something super basic first? I'll just put Joy's photo up. If you would be interested in putting your hand up and feeling the vibe through 2 screens, then folks can kind of participate at their ends. And would you want to pep talk someone on how to drop from the head to the heart and just trust in their own ability, their present moment?
Yeah, so just in remembering that trusting love and trusting that just trust in and of itself just kind of hovers right above that place of uncertainty. And that place of uncertainty is actually presence. That place of uncertainty is that present space, that space in between thoughts, that space of uncertainty that just knows that all is well.
And so if a person on their fingers, their palm, it may be on their toes, they can feel spark, they can feel warmth, they can feel joy. I mean, she's the emotion joy. Think of the millions of ways for positivity, unconditional love to express itself in a feeling or a energetic form. Feel what you can feel, do not judge is simply what I will end that with. But if you would, Lily, if you're up for it, just ask Joy what she's got for us all today as a reminder to be in the heart. And what are you getting for us all from Joy, the angel, right here?
Just asking to be open right now to really what the heart is saying, because what the heart is saying is really what Joy is saying, what the multiverse is saying, what God is saying, or whatever that looks like for you. So with Joy present here in this platform, right through this virtual world here, what is the message that you're hearing? What is the message that we're hearing? And I'm getting resilience. I'm getting openness to expansion.
Oh, I love it. Okay, Charlotte's next, another angel, and a teacher with words of wisdom meant to help us expand or grow. And here's Charlotte. If you just want to ask her a question, get an answer, get a hug, you can share what you will aloud for us. Maybe she has something for all of us right now.
Yeah, maybe there's something that you heard today. You're thinking, why does this keep popping up? She said something an hour ago. What does that mean? What is that teaching me? So just listen. Like, what is that saying? What are you hearing? What are you hearing?
A reminder, we can all be unblocked or walk a smoother path.
Yeah.
Okay, this angel's my guardian angel. Just call her Min, like Minnesota. Lakota Sioux word for water. So she's light waves of energy in water. If you're normally in Long Island by the ocean, you're still by the ocean in Florida, in West Palm Beach right now.
I sure am.
Yeah, why don't you ask for an ocean smell that's neither here nor there, whether it's Bethany, the Bahamas, Canary Islands, Mediterranean, Hawaii. Why don't you ask for a fresh ocean smell that you know can't be coming from outside the building, and get a little insight or a reminder for us all from a fantastic watery angel. Think of Moana, the opening scene from that Disney kids film. She would be pushing the water back. When people go surfing with their eyes closed and catching the perfect wave, you don't need to know how to surf. She just makes it nice. Angels can make anything nice. You do have to allow, and you have to have the guts to ask, and you have to have bigger guts to receive. So what's the message from Min for all of us, with Lily Sanders doing a little listening on humanity's behalf? Thank you, Lily, for doing all this.
Yeah, I'm just smelling the salt from the breeze. And you mentioned Disney, so the Little Mermaid is coming up. Yeah. And manifestations coming up for me. Bringing in ways to just manifest that high standard of living.
And I don't know if your eyes are closed or not, because I can't see you right now, but just close your eyes for a second. I'm going to blow in the microphone. Let her bring you an ocean breeze or a little bit of sparkle on your nose.
Okay.
And see if you can let angels bring that to you. Only the highest intent. Did you get that on your face?
Absolutely.
Good. We'll do just one more angel, a couple of Native American chiefs, and wrap this part up. But Claire, resilience, an angel who's all about resilience. She's one of my dog's guardian angels. Don't get that the wrong way. Yes, she still is a guardian angel for certain humans out there. Angels can do anything. They can alter your path. We didn't really talk about that. That's not necessarily what the show's about at this juncture, but here's Claire. And if anybody wants to put their hand up again and feel a different vibration, do so. If you want to have her bring you a flower smell, ask for it. What will you allow for is really kind of, in a way, the theme today as we live our lives. It's up to you. So with Claire, Lily Sanders is going to do just a touch of listening and feeling and sensing. Maybe she's going to get the smell of flowers, wisteria, lilac, honeysuckle, something exotic.
Yeah, almost wisteria. And resilience, actually, there's an opposite side of resilience where instead of feeling like you're constantly striving to push through something, the message that I'm getting is to just open. Again, the openness. Don't resist. The power of non-resistance.
And I was weird because I was getting, and I try to, not interfere in this and just, you do your thing. But just as you were saying that, I was getting, in a lot of situations where we think about resilience or we have to keep our chin up and everything else, the eyes tend to look at our toes. It's like having our head in the sand. It's why we can go around for not just days, weeks, months, years, decades, and suffer. Mm-hmm. So it was a reminder that anytime you want, eyes up, chin up, move forward, anytime you wish.
Exactly. It's really, exactly. And that's one of the things as a domestic violence expert, chin up, don't even use the word.
You're making it too simple for us, Lily Sanders.
Chin up. Even the word survivor is limiting. Victim, survivor, just chin up.
Let's coin a new term, near life experience. NLE, we can all have one. Okay. We'll talk India for a second. There's the Divine Mother. It was last summer I got an introduction, and actually you can meet the Divine Mother. These are India figures, or Native American chiefs, or angels, or Plato, or Einstein, or Gandhi, Mother Teresa. So it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to allow for. Just don't worry about the details. But there is a tiger that goes with the Divine Mother who's pure action. Now, you can barely see that tiger, done by a beautiful artist in England who does wildlife, really well known. I think her name's Sophia Green. I mean, I bought that from her website. It's signed or whatever in a limited edition something. But that tiger, that tiger is action. And I'll go ahead and try to hold up a better reproduction, whatever I'm trying to say here, if I can get my phone to open. And what I'm going to ask is if people can just let go again, get to their heart. I probably skipped the most important thing, which is the only rule I've got for anything is ask angels, ask the universe to help you get out of your head into your heart. I think it's funny 2 hours in that I remember the one thing that I try to teach. I forget everything. So if you out there could just ask for angels to help you, this will give you that extra 1% strength. You have it all here, but we obviously need a lot of reminders. That's what Lily's been doing for us today in a lot of ways. Ask for a little oomph. Get into that huge heart of yours. Remember, angels can alter your path. So if you think you're lacking something, ask for whatever that is, and just give this much space to allow for it to come in. Here's that tiger, and it's pure action. You don't need a name for the tiger. Just ask to smell the deep, rich forest jungles of India, the highest intent, the highest positivity. He's pure action. So if you want, stick your hand out to the side and feel the fur of a tiger walking by. Hear a tiger roar in the distant jungle. Catch the incense of an Indian temple, sacred, special. You don't have to be aligned with that culture to appreciate a little incense coming through to you right now. And get a beautiful mantra from this tiger, all about action. No limits.
Standing in certainty.
Now ask a private question, get a private answer. You won't be sharing this with us. Lily, enjoy, for all the risk and all the talking today, enjoy the reward. Get a beautiful insight from this tiger for yourself and get the most generous, loving, furry hug. Like a kitten when you get the hugs. And I got a peek. I'll look below my phone here. Yeah, you're doing great. And for future, audience tuner-inners, remember that tiger's on the wall. You're listening to us, but you can still get an answer from the tiger, faint as it is. I'll try to put better light on it next time. Or smell that sunflower. I took that 2 houses ago. I used to do a ton of gardening. I'm planning on doing a ton of gardening. Like everything else we always talk about, I'm getting to it. Hopefully this spring, bam, more flowers. Angels keep reminding me more flowers, plant more, enjoy more flowers. I'm always happier when I'm out there with my hands. So you can smell that sunflower if you want. It's on my website, front page. Audrey Hepburn's there, a guardian angel, Geronimo, 2 Native American chiefs for you. You're getting Geronimo, but do you want Dull Knife or Red Shirt? You only can choose one.
Ooh, me?
Yes.
Ooh, let's do Red Shirt.
Yeah. And he's a softy, Mr. Heart, compassion, compassion, compassion. Gentlest mom in the world, but he just tells it like it is in the softest way. Wearing a U.S. presidential medal. Day after the photo was taken, he and Geronimo are at the White House horseback, Pennsylvania Ave, some sort of a parade. Might have been the Teddy Roosevelt days. I don't remember. Go ahead and hear what you can hear about following one's path. And then be sure to get a hug or two.
And I'm also hearing shared compassion. And he's talking about shared compassion for others, not just oneself.
And the more you share it, the more your vibrancy, the more your growth and expansion is happening, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Interacting with people is soul to soul contact is still a concept that I'm not going to be able to wrap my head around, but it's a good thing when you interact with others. Even a wave to a stranger is a big deal.
Absolutely, especially the shared compassion for people we don't know, like what's going on in Turkey. Just sharing from here that heart, the compassion for a situation that you couldn't even like wrap your head around, that's healing them because they could feel that compassion.
Ah, good. Okay, young Geronimo. Now he's going to look tough, but he can get in there and just provide literally action steps for anything and a reminder to just do it. And if you want to catch the smell of sweetgrass, sage, tobacco, cedar, pine, Douglas fir, juniper, you get the idea. One of those 50 sacred smells. Have that come in as a very positive, sacred smell into the room that's cleansing for all the work you've put in talking to us today. Thank you very much, Lily, for that. Have Geronimo bring you not only some answers or insight or a mantra, but that smell. And then what does he want to share for all of us as a reminder?
Experiences are gateways that bring us back toward grace and dignity and power.
And if you can say that one more time for us.
Experiences are gateways that bring us back toward grace and dignity and power.
Very deep, very original. Gotta say thank you to Geronimo. But we're not quite done yet. One last older Geronimo. This is a very penetrating photo. How does he again talk about those experiences, how healing and hope? And I'm sure he can just lay it on us about life itself, the journey.
I mean, his eyes alone, just you could see that his eyes know that he understands the beyond that I talk about. His eyes are clear, so clear they are. They're not blocked with anything. And so I think that might be the message there, just to keep looking through that lens that sees beyond this linear world.
Beautiful. Okay, so we have checked that box. That's something I love to do. Not every guest is going to do that. This year. I think I made the offer to, I think there's 2 filmmakers out there. I'll get a chance to have a cup of coffee if they only want to smell sage, but I actually think they'd be into all this. We'll see. I never know until I talk to somebody, or if it's a prior acquaintance. I already knew Lily would be game for this. So thank you for your patience with that. Thank you for doing this. What a service for us all. What would you want to mention, though, about, again, a reminder in an upbeat fashion that it's never too late to cultivate more love here, our presence. It's never too late to take action. Talk to us about, as if Geronimo or one of these angels, except it's Lily Sanders talking to us. What's the bottom line for all of us? We don't have to be in the middle of an intimate, partner violence situation. It could be just struggling at work, struggling with life. How do we get beyond struggle to thriving?
Yeah. So in short, again, you're the only one that can unlock the illusion that there's even a barrier. And once you're aware of that, really just know that you know that you know that you know that you are, and I say this in truth to triumph, you're so significant, really, in the landscape of the universe. And so we're all perfect. We're born perfect. We're incarnated into this world perfect. And it may take you 10 years or 5 decades to remember that. Really, it's just that we've forgotten it in all the madness, in our life situations. So if we could just remember how significant we are, that we are just a pure love.
Well, Lily Sanders is reminding us it's never too late to get into the heart and to get started living again, which means instant decision making, instant action, no regrets, no self-inflicted gunshot wounds, no pain. You're still going to have the ebb and flow of life. There'll always be something else, but you'll be able to hopefully handle it quicker, or at least identify the situation and do that whole triage thing, walk away, accept it as it is, or take action on it, period, not let it fester.
Totally. And you said earlier, good luck there with the 180 pivot. You definitely can 180 pivot like a rock star. Like a rock star.
I think some Buddhists would say on a dime, just whoop, drop everything and make your move.
Absolutely, you can. I'm proof of that. And many, many people that I help are proof of that. So go get them.
And if a final metaphor would work here, everyone's has a chance to jump into the little Cessna. I'd argue it's more like an F-15. That's your heart. It's love. We don't often take it out of the hangar as often as we should, if at all. Sometimes we're locked up for 10 years, trapped. It's the jail cell again. The door's wide open behind you. You just have to look back. You have to have a realization that, like, whoa, it's not what I think it is. But let's add a fog bank at the airport. FAA, your air traffic controllers, those are angels. Your guides, your angels, your relatives. We didn't talk about relatives. Your loved ones who are reconciled. You got a huge cheerleading squad. You just have to allow for this. It doesn't matter if you're Buddhist, Catholic, Protestant, name another, Islam, Hindu, none of the above. Pick anything. You're just trusting that the universe or something, the Force from Star Wars, it's bigger than your thinking and bigger than your limits. And it's there to assist when you're ready for it. You just have to ask for it and allow for it. I think I've got The Alchemist, a red book, somewhere up there on the shelf. And Esther Hicks, The Alchemist, they talk about the universe is ready to respond as soon as you're ready to get going. So you have to get going asking at least. So practice asking. When you're ready, practice a little more allowing, a little more presence, a little more receiving. Give a little bit of space that if you're going to ask for something, you can actually let it in. I mean, for me, I watch a film. I know Lily talked about this earlier. I think it's Peaceful Warrior. I'm on watching it 50 times now in 6 years, however long, 10 years now. I'm still seeing new material in it. I'm not that slow, but I'm close. But there's new material in it every time I watch it. I think it's just a function of your consciousness, the moment. The universe drops a little spice, a little flavor in to keep you wowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? 3 words, make your move. Make your move. Step up.
I like that as a t-shirt. Make your move.
And yeah, you know what? I think we're going to create that right here. Just like locksmith to the heart, Make your move. That's it. Make your move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? I love it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Thank you
absolutely. Lily
everyone for
Sanders.
being here. Come visit me at lilysanders.live. You know, if you want a domestic violence expert, I'm here to speak in universities across the country, and just everywhere and everywhere. I'm going to be speaking actually at the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. It is a virtual event. I don't have any dates to it. I don't have any background on that, but I'm here. So reach out to me for anything. Yeah, and it's always a pleasure, Michael.
Absolutely. You do one-on-one coaching. You've been at Rutgers before. I believe it's Rutgers. You've been on in the New York City channels, ABC, CBS, the usual, also Boston Herald. I mean, you've done a lot of media appearances. We didn't mention that at all during the show. I want to thank Lily Sanders for being on. That's Lily Sanders. Her book, Truth to Triumph to Truth, Truth to Triumph. I always mess that up.
Yeah,
Yes, and that's at Amazon, 2017 book, fantastic read.
You can
And
also get it on my website, and if you get it on my website, I can autograph it. And I also have, yeah, I can autograph that personally and get that to you ASAP.
Yay. Well, thank you very much, Lily. Good seeing you again. Look forward to seeing you again in 2023. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love.